Generally, this is my first time talking like this, so bear with me. We're going to read from my notes app and we're going to discuss together afterwards. This note is from December 20th, but I had those thoughts for over 2 months. So since October. It's about consciousness itself. I say consciousness because it's an it to me. Consciousness spent question mark by being itself in the primordial waters, the black matter, invisible matter, space. And then it said to itself, let's see what happened when I separate. Cool to know when consciousness decided to separate itself. It did not just separate itself at all to a 7:3 ratio. It was always 50-50. It did not separate itself to have a superior self and a lower self. It was never that the hierarchy came along with consciousness developing itself through physical matter. That way you can call today another frequency. But when consciousness was itself and it separated itself, it always separated itself because consciousness is perfection from the start. Life beyond the mind. Let us debunk what the hell that I just wrote in my notes app. So this is about consciousness. So let's establish one thing. What is consciousness? We don't know. We do not know. Okay. Consciousness is not only shared with the people who are close to us. Consciousness is shared with strangers all around the world. All around the world. So when you travel to another country, and you present yourself and you see that you have similarities with other humans when you travel, there is just consciousness interacting with itself. A lot of things can be said, oh, consciousness is just another form, a thought form of God. But like, to me, thoughts are frequencies. Frequency touches emotion. Frequency does not equal emotions. So that's why like some frequencies can make you annoyed and some other frequencies can make you joyful. If from another person it's vice versa. But when we come back to consciousness itself, people might say, oh, it's God. I don't think it is God. It's just God. God is God, and he's in the sky daddy type shit. No. Consciousness is far more superior than that. It is something that we cannot, still not understand today. In the Western world, in the Eastern tradition, it's a little bit more expanded than that. But when it comes to where I come from, consciousness itself, people that were in a transatlantic slave trade, that's a big word for Elmo. The transatlantic slave trade, people that look like me, when we talk about God, it is not Sky Daddy that is going to save us. It is a type of creative force that you can pray to, and that creative force redirects you to the right spirit that can help you with your problem. Like, seriously. If you cannot understand what the hell I'm talking about, I cannot explain more better than that. Maybe in 1 year. In 1 year, I can explain better than this. In 1 year, I can explain better than this. If you want to continue this discussion, you have to, absolutely have to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I cannot continue this conversation on this clock app. So check it on YouTube. I wrote consciousness spent question mark, question mark, question mark time by itself. Because consciousness did not just make material matter appear and everything was perfect. Do you get what I mean? Because consciousness is not just a white point in a dark space or a black point in a white space. It was just itself in the dark waters, or the primordial waters, or the chaos. Not chaos as in today's term, but like chaotic waters, like primordial waters. Consciousness is not just like something that is heat itself, or it's cold, or it's hot. It was just itself at its perfection, at its most perfect state. Because consciousness knew that it was conscious, and consciousness was like, I am who I am. Consciousness understood that it was in primordial waters. But I want you guys to understand that consciousness did not have a type of humanity that the way that we caught it today. Because consciousness by itself did develop emotions, but after it separated itself, not before. Because before you start with the like 7.7 type of energy, 7 type of emotions that are in the human body, you have to separate the whole human thing. You have to separate it. You have to separate it. It is all about being consciousness itself. The most perfect. Imagine all the spirit. Imagine all the spirits all around the world. Animal included. Insects included. Bacteria included. The thing that animates them, that makes them conscious that they are alive and they need to multiply. Okay, the very thing that makes them understand that I am alive and we need to take care of the colony. I need to have children. I need to, all these animals, this animal, this everything together, and all of it together. I'm not referencing pluribus, but pluribus is only taking about the humans. But when I talk about consciousness is everything. Plant life, the trees, the consciousness of trees, the consciousness of fungi, of mushrooms that makes you in a alternate state, whatever. The consciousness of everything. Everything was together at one point. Everything was together at one point. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say, like, when consciousness was by itself in its most perfect state, it did not felt like a huge range of emotion. It just felt conscious. It was like, I am what I am. I'm here. And then, but where does consciousness come from? There's also this. So how did consciousness came, to understand that it was all by itself? And I don't know. How do we know there was not other consciousness together? How do we know that it was everything all together? Spirits and demons, angels and demons, like all the spirits together in one thing. Like, how do we know that there were not other consciousness before it separated itself? Because you have to understand that it was in the primordial waters. Okay, it was in the dark. I don't want to say dark waters, because when you look from afar, it looks dark. But if you were to swim in it, you would understand, like, it's glowing water, that it has a glow to itself. And you're asking yourself, how do you know that? Did you went to space in those primordial waters? No. I just invent, like, not purposely, but I just dreamed over there. When I listen to music, I just imagine a lot of stuff. And I realized I was not imagining, I was traveling. Whew. Anyways, I was not imagining all this stuff. So, like, let's go back to consciousness. This video is everywhere. So, to understand, how do we know? Like, how do we know? And how do animals know? And how do other spirits know that there were not other frequencies in those primordial waters? How do we know everything was all together all at once? Like on a like everyone was together at some point. And when I say everyone, I mean everything. Everything was together. Everything was all in one. All for one. All in one state. How do we know there were not already other frequencies? And to that I cannot answer, because you will need to ask God about it, honestly. And I don't feel like asking consciousness that. I don't feel like asking God this question, because like I don't feel like asking God this specific question, because those type of questions, it's only like people that really spent their whole lives, let me tell you, they spent their whole lives hiding from humanity and just meditating. And I want to say meditating. When I say meditating, I do not mean meditating in the mountains or somewhere excluded and not have zero interaction with nobody. Okay? I say that the people that do not, those type of people can live in society, but they are excluded because by their lifestyle. They can post on social media, but they are not participating in the worldly matters. If you get my following, because those type of questions, and you just sit down and speak to this creative force, to this energy, this superior energy that actually separated itself and created life, you know? If you start asking all of these big ass questions to consciousness will literally redirect you to your life and saying to you, mama, big woman, you have more important things to think about than if there were other me's when I was all alone, and having those type of questions, okay, at the end, even though we absolutely got the answer, we still gotta pay rent and pay our water bill and our light bill and food to be able to take care of our most basic ass needs. And the most basic needs. The most basic needs. We still need to provide for ourselves, for our families, for our most basic needs. It's like those conspiracy theories that said like, the earth is flat and we live like on a flat plane and we have a dome and it's a circle and blah blah blah. It's like, even if the earth is flat, even if we live in a dome, tomorrow I still gotta wake up and pay this mortgage. Even if you prove to me scientifically that the earth is flat, I still have to find a way to feed my children. I still have to find a way to pay for this medication for my grandmother who is sick. So generally, I do not give a fuck about consciousness and shit and that. It's like average people, like, you cannot force those new findings to average people and tell them we live in a lie, because deep inside of them, even though they have bought behavior, like, they know it's not the way to live. That's why they feel like there's no way out. And there's always a way out. There's always a way out. Where is this discussion going? Anyways, there's a way out. You just need to be connected to God. And how do you connect yourself to God? You can ask the spirits that walks with you until it all comes back, spinning around until inside of you, that creative energy inside of your heart. And I mean both hearts, the physical heart, the drum that you can hear, and the conscious heart, the one that makes you feel empathy for yourself and for other people. So let's just go back to what I wrote, because what the hell am I doing? So it spent eons by itself in the primordial waters of black matter, invisible matter in space. Then it said to itself, let's see what happens when I separate myself. And I also wrote that it did not separate itself to have a superior self and a lower self. That was not the intention. The superior and the lower self were just mirrors to each other, but both had the same power. When it comes to hierarchy, hierarchy came with time. Hierarchy came after. Hierarchy came before physical matter. Physical matter existed, when there were all these grand spirits. When I say grand spirits, I mean like spirits that are super powerful, like the primordial spirits, like the primordial essence of love, the primordial essence of war, the primordial essence of mother, the primordial essence of the father, those primordial essence of those spirits, because love is love, but the primordial essence of love is another thing. I mean, it's another thing. When you connect to the primordial essence of the planet Mars, because when Mars was created, when I say Mars that is in space right now. When Mars was created, the planet knew what it was created for. Okay? The planet knew all of its characteristics, and it's through interaction with the other 6 other planets that it understood what it was. Okay? The planet Mars understood why it had the primordial essence of the planet Mars when Mars was created. To understand itself, it was through interaction with the other 6 other planets. Mars knew what it was, and to understand itself more, it had to interact with Venus. It had to interact with the sun. It had to interact with Jupiter, with the moon, with Mercury, with Saturn. Duh. But the primordial essence of Mars can be contacted when you are not scared to understand that everything is about power and your creative ability to understand the power and to use that power. And how do you use it? If you use it for your own beneficial way, it's okay. That's why the bad people in the world are always gonna win. Until the average people in the world understand the power that they have. And instead of thinking for themselves only, the same way that those people in power think about themselves only, shit can take a 180 in a matter of one night. When I say one night, I don't mean like 8 hours of night deep sleep. I say in a matter of deep changes in the subconscious of a lot of people, of a people, not just in a certain type of region, but in some states. So let's just go back to what the hell I was talking about. Yes. So when consciousness separated itself, it did not separate itself into a hierarchy. It separated itself into 2 whole halves with the same amount of power. And those whole halves, one was not superior to the other. Both halves were magnetic and electric at the same time. Do you get what I mean? Both halves, when consciousness separate itself, were both magnetic and electric. I'm tired of talking. And I want to talk of something else. If you want to continue this discussion, you gotta subscribe and you gotta share. Please let me know if you like this discussion. If I was going to, I will get better in time. All of this discussion was to have fun and just to talk. All right. Thank you so much for subscribing and sharing and liking. And we will have a little chat tomorrow. Let's continue this talk. Yeah. Bye.